William the Conqueror. He was the King of England from 1066 until 1087. His father was Robert, the Duke of Normandy, and his eldest son has also the name Robert, and his third son has the name Rufus. His third son, Rufus, became then the King of England in 1087. And he was an illegitimate son to his father, but he inherited the throne and it was accepted, but there was already at that time some rivalry between who becomes now the Duke of Normandy. Then at some time there was Edward the Confessor, the King of England, in exile by William the Conqueror, just then William, in the Normandy, and as a return for the favor that he was protected there, he said that he would make one day William the Conqueror to be the King of England. Later on, he considered differently, and Edward the Confessor made Harold of East Wessex to become the new king. William of Normandy, he didn't like it, and he invaded England on the 28th September 1066. Harold of East Anglia was in the northern part of England. He was fighting a Viking horde. He went down, and then in the Battle of Hastings, Harold of East Wessex was defeated. He died even in that battle. And William the Conqueror went on, and then on the Christmas Day, 1066, he crowned himself in Westminster Abbey in London, the new King of England. There was rebellion against that by Edward of Mercia, or by Hereward the Awake of East Anglia, but he defeated them, and he became more and more the whole King of England. And he invaded also Scotland, and he fought against the troops of Malcolm III, and he obliged Malcolm III to accept him as an overlord. He let churches built and castles in strategic places to govern the country. And then one day he had an accident or something with his horse in Nantes, and he died after that fall. And then he was at some time also, there was a rebellion by his first son Robert, and he was defeating that also in a battle. Robert was the Duke of Normandy then or something. He defeated that, or in the Normandy was a rebellion. He defeated it. It's not success so perfectly in the book. And so he did not make Robert his successor, but Rufus, his third son. So after him, then his third son Rufus was governing England, and his first son the Normandy. That led also to some problems. There were some lords who had estates in both regions, and so they weren't so sure who was governing where. And then at one time, when Robert was lending money from Rufus because he wanted to join the crusade and so on. So the story goes on. But something else happened at the time. William the Conqueror sent people out to record what was happening everywhere in the country. So who obtained what? What lord was having what property? What estate, what country, what land was what lord obtaining? What people were living there? How many people? What cities were in the countries? And what animals were living there? Everything. And that book did he then use to demand contributions from the people, and so that he could make taxes based on that and control the whole country. And that book exists still. It can be seen in the public records in London. And it gives some insight into how the country looked at the time, with the geography and how the people lived and the legal system and so on. That is according to the history of the kings and queens of England and Scotland, written by Edmund Swinglehurst on the pages 28 and 29.